Hello,
Hello.
everyone.
No, I want to go first.
You go first. Please be my guest.
Hello and good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are joining us today from in the ladies' lounge. It is Wealthy Wednesdays, and I have my glorious, gorgeous goddess of a friend, Tiffany Brennan, joining me. How are you, Tiff?
I am wonderful. How are you, my beautiful friend, Viv Adcock?
I'm great, and I'm rather warm. I'm a bit overdressed. I've put a cashmere jumper on today. I think I've gone a little bit too much for the cold weather when it's actually not cold yet. You know, that whole feeling of it's grey outside, so therefore it must be cold.
Yes.
And it's not.
I know it very well. Very well. It's kind of probably an Australian, well, probably other countries and continents as well, but very much an Australian thing. And hello, Facebook user. Unfortunately, your name doesn't come up, so I don't know who I'm saying hello to, but hello and welcome.
Hi,
and thanks for being here with us.
So a tool that I wanted to share with everybody that I have been working since being reminded of this tool. And it's, it seems such a simple tool, but it changes so much, so dynamically. And for every single monetary transaction that I have been engaging with for, I don't know how long now, whether it's paying out, it could be a bill, it could be the windscreen just got cracked on the car on the weekend, so I've got to deal with the insurance company for that. Any interaction, not just money coming in, but money going out. And any time I think about it, feel into it, consider it, because money takes up a lot of our day if we're not present with it. And it can be in quite a, let's just say, a not constructive, not generative way. So the tool is, how does it get any better than this? So for any time you're paying, you're going into your wallet, you're giving the kids pocket money, you've been, pinged with a speeding camera, tax bill, whatever it is, what if you could use, how does it get any better than this for every single transaction that you have, but also any conversation that's going on in your head about transactions?
Yeah. And I love this because, Viv, you probably have heard, but Viv and I have a class coming up starting early June, and it's the How to Become Money Workbook. And this tool for every single monetary transaction. And also we would invite you to look at how you are being with all of the transactions in your life. Spend the next week, spend the next few days, whatever it is, getting really present with you and money and how you're being when you receive money or when you pay for something, when you are paid or when you pay, or when something monetary sort of shows up in your world, whether it's like you look at something that you might desire and what do you think when you see that? You think, oh, can't afford it. Or so that's this thing of how you're being with money. And if you can change how you're being with money, you can change the way that money shows up in your life.
And that is brilliantly spoken, because it is that simple. And that's, when I said it's one of the greatest tools in Access, it's one of the first tools that you actually hear about, is this question: how does it get any better than this? So, when I look at what's happening globally at the moment, there's this whole, in the news, if you watch it, inflation, interest rates, it's just petrol prices, food prices, everywhere you are engaging, basically with life at the moment seems to have this energy of freak out or, oh my God, or panic, rather than, okay, how does it get any better than this? How does it get any better than this? What would it take for me to have way too much money? And for this, like you're saying, Tiff, because that spike, that charge of the panic, the fear button, the red button being hit, creates that kind of, or, okay, how does it get any better than this? Because you're either at the effect, or you can be the influencer of what it is that you create your financial reality as, when you're willing to be a different energy.
Yeah. So it's like, are you at the effect of money, or are you willing to be the leader in your own life that creates something very different for something way greater to show up for you?
I've got a practical just from my own personal life at the moment. So I've made quite a bit of money on the stock market, and just recently there's been this massive stock market crash, and one of my top shares, my top performing shares, has gone from nearly $2 a share down to $1.18 within a space of 5, 6, 7 days. And to anybody else, they would be having an absolute meltdown about this. And I'm like, how's it getting better? There has literally not been a single blip on my horizon. And I've got several other stocks that have done this. And we're talking, the difference between $1 million in a portfolio to maybe $300,000 in a portfolio in a matter of days. But to me, it's just an interesting point of view. And I know that with the ability to be interesting point of view and ask, how does it get any better than this? Other awarenesses, other possibilities come in rather than the log jam that a lot of other people would go into in regards to the freak out and they look at what they've lost or what they haven't got, rather than, right, what else is possible here? And we got up this morning, my partner and I, we were so excited about, Andrew goes, oh my God, I've got an idea. Let's just extrapolate this. And we just had a chat in bed. And before we knew it, we'd sold a whole bunch of stocks at a really low price, but we bought into other stocks that have now gone up today. So we've started to change the energy straight away of how we were being with that. We're willing to be the influencer. We're willing to take control and be a different energy when everybody else around us is freaking out. So that it's just been, I'm so grateful for these tools, because had that been me 3 or 4 years ago, I'd have been an absolute mess. I wouldn't have been on this Facebook Live. I'd be in the corner hyperventilating.
Yeah, isn't that amazing though, that we have these tools, and yes, how does it get any better than this is a great place to start for every single transaction, with money, with wealth, with anything like that in your life. But, for you, Viv, and for us, we have so many more tools that, when something like that goes on, all of these tools that allow you to have awareness of what else is possible and where to go next, or what to choose different. And so it's so fun as well. Like, whoever thought that money could be so much fun? And again, look at the energy of that versus this thing of like freaking out when something, when you lose money or when a big bill comes in. Or I even noticed it in myself today. It must have been today or yesterday. And I'm flying overseas for the first time in over 2 years. And I'm very excited. And when purchasing my flight, I noticed myself start to go into this place of like, oh my God, I haven't had these kind of, overseas travel expenses for a couple of years, which has been really nice. And I stopped myself and I was like, okay, how much more money can I have? How much more money can I be? What other choices can I choose that will allow me to have and be greater? And that completely changes the future that I would have created had I have allowed myself to go into this place of basically deciding that now that I'm going to start traveling overseas again, that I'm going to have less money, because what you decide, your point of view creates your reality. So what point of view can you change that will create the reality in the future that you would truly like to have?
And what peace with money can you now have too? Because I think the very first time I heard Gary Douglas talk about this, that just, you only hear something and it really lands in your world and it sends this kind of ripple out across the waters that just keeps rippling. I'm like, oh my God, peace is what I would like to have with money, regardless of whether I've got, $100,000 or $10 or whatever. Is it actually peace that you would like to have with money? And making that choice, like you were just saying, Tiff, it's like we're lured and tempted so regularly and so often during the day to go into that automatic reaction of ugh, or the story or the decision or the conclusion, rather than, okay, just come back to me here and let's go down this path. Let's use a tool and change the energy immediately. So how does it get any better than this? And the other one that you just dropped in as another favorite of mine is, well, what else is possible? What else is possible? rather than coming to the conclusion of, okay, I've got expenses and yeah.
And that's wealth right there. What else is possible? And knowing that with that question, you allow so many more possibilities to show up.
And that's where the excitement comes in, the enthusiasm. It's like, oh my goodness, you know, rather than the conclusion and the contraction and the freak out. It's like the concertina, when you go into that fear and worry, it's like, ooh, you're squeezing you and your space and your possibilities into the smallest box and the lowest common denominator, rather than what else is possible. It's like you open up again. You allow yourself to receive from the universe, because you've caught that moment of the energy and just gone, let's see what we can play with here. Let's change this. What else is possible? And that's, for me, that's the adventure, because it's not, the energy is not controlling you. The points of view are not controlling you. You're present enough in that moment to go, no, let's just expand here. Let's ask a question. Let's invite other possibilities in that I don't even know exist just yet.
Yeah. And that's where this, you know, money workbook that we're going to start in June, it's 2 calls every week for 5 weeks. So it's 10 calls. And this, for both Viv and I, is the tool, the workbook that started to really shift and change the way that we were being with money. Because it's one thing to talk about it, and it's one thing to go, oh yeah, that makes total sense, and use a tool here and there and then forget about it, and not be really aware of how you are being with money. But this workbook, and having, you know, 2 facilitators like us to step you through it and help you to undo the things that are keeping you from being a different way with money, is just amazing. So we really would love you to come and play if it speaks to you at all, and everyone's invited. So how does it get any better than this?
How does it get any better than this? And just imagine, you know, I mean, money is a very loaded topic, and everybody has money stuff. Every single person around you pretty much will have money stuff. And so to have, you know, two coaches, 2 cheerleaders, 2 people there to actually facilitate you, contribute to you, be an energy that is such a different space to function from when you're in the trenches, you know, when you're in the thick of money stuff, because, you know, the moment you go to change something, every point of view starts to come up, all the limitations start to come up, and that sometimes can be really overwhelming for people because they just don't know how to change it, and it just feels all consuming. But when you've got, you know, the workbook, which is phenomenal, your choice to change it, and people like Tiff and I there in your corner, having your back and being there, it's so much more ease to get through and change this stuff. So yeah, I'm the same, Tiff. You know, I'm thinking, what else is possible? You wouldn't choose this for what reason? You know, look at the investment it's creating for you, your life, your happiness, and your future. So
a totally different future.
Totally
but nobody
different.
wants that, right? People like to have pain and misery with money. And, you know, if they didn't have the pain and the misery and the contraction and the difficulty, then how would they fit into the rest of the world, you know?
That's exactly right.
We get it if you don't want to change. But if you're smart enough to know that change is possible, then, you know, you can come and play.
Come and play. And next Wednesday, just before we wrap this up today, next Wednesday, we are going to have another intrepid, brave traveler coming and joining us in the hot seat. So if you'd like to jump on board and receive some facilitation and some change, come and join us next Wednesday in the Ladies Lounge, same time.
And just same bat channel.
Yes.
And Viv, I just wanted to say, you have got a Facebook Live that you're going to jump straight onto now. You've got a Talk to the Animals class coming up, a 2.5-day class.
Yes.
And so where can we jump on and watch the live that you're about to do?
That is a very good question. I know that the link is, if I grab it now, can I put it in the chat or will it go?
No, why don't you just pop it in the chat straight after?
Okay, I'll do that.
On the Facebook group, and then you guys can come watch that too. Okay, thanks everyone.
Thanks everybody. Thanks Tiffy.
Next week.
How does it get any better than this?
How does it?
Bye.